All right, we'll start right now. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your dog life journey.
My name is Lisa Wagner. I've been breeding French Bulldogs for about 2 years. I've been involved in the breed for many more. I always knew I wanted to breed healthy French Bulldogs. So right from the beginning, I knew I wanted to do health testings. I wanted to definitely breed dogs that um, can just live a healthy, normal life. In 2016, I bought a dog in Europe, actually, and he was supposed to be my future stud. Unfortunately, 7 months later already, he had his first health issue. He was diagnosed with bilateral hip dysplasia, and he also has patella issues, so his kneecap pops in and out. Um, and he also has a lot of breathing issues, um, which is really when I realized, okay, something is really wrong in this breed, because so many French Bulldogs and brachycephalic dogs in general suffer from breathing issues. It was mainly the personality, because they're really, really fun little dogs. A lot of people refer to them as clowns because they're just hilarious. And they always want to make you laugh. And what I really like about them too is that they just want to be part of everything you do. So they're not super, super highly active, or energetic. So it's not a breed that you need to run every day for a couple hours or, stimulate mentally a lot, like for example a border collie. So it's a breed that the average person can have and be happy with. And like I said, they just love being with you. So if you go out hiking or camping, they just want to be with you and take part in everything with you together. I had a dog growing up. We had a lab mix, and I think already back then I wanted to get a French bulldog or a pug. I loved pugs back then, but my mom didn't want to get the second dog, so she always said, once you're out and you live in your own house, you can get as many dogs as you want,
Oh,
and that's pretty much what I did. So yeah, I know. I got my first Frenchie in 2013, and she's just the most amazing dog ever. Yeah.
do you have plans of showing your dogs as well? Is that something that you do?
So, yes, I have shown before. That said, because I breed for a different look, my dogs are not really well accepted in the show ring, sadly. I've taken my girl Akiva, my girl Maple to a couple shows, even when she was younger. It was actually totally after I got her. We went to our first show, and I was really excited. And we got there, and I could already tell people were looking at us, and not in a good way. So they were looking down at us and kind of like laughing. And I took her to, I think, two shows, and that was it. I stopped. And at that point, looking back, it's really sad because I actually thought, okay, something is wrong with my dog. Like, she doesn't look the way she's supposed to look. And now these days, I know that my dog's actually so much healthier, and I'm so happy with the way she does look. But it's sadly not the breed standard. So I never took her to another show until last year, or actually I think it was, yeah, January this year. I took her to another show, and I actually took one of her puppies to the same show as well, just to give it another try and see how people react to them. Again, it wasn't a good experience we had. So there was actually one breeder. She was actually the wife or the girlfriend of the breeder, and she walked her out and she took pictures of my dog undercover. I could tell she was taking pictures with her phone. I'm assuming she was texting them to somebody and saying, "Oh my God, look at this dog, how hilarious," and pretty much laughing at them again. So,
That's a,
so that's been our experience in the show world. And I mean, it's just like, it's really sad because looking at the dogs, like they're so proud. And I mean, they can be proud that the dog is a champion or he just won, best of breed or best in show or whatever. And they can be proud of that. But at the end of the day, what does it do for the dog if he's a champion, but he can't breathe or he can't run and play with other dogs? So at the end of the day, it should be about the dog and how he feels and not what he might have achieved in the show ring.
Exactly.
But looking back at pictures of French Bulldogs back in the day, you will notice that they looked different than what they do look these days. They all had a longer snout. They had longer legs. Their backs were longer. They just looked more agile, almost like a Boston Terrier, so just like with longer legs. And yeah, that's what they originally looked like. And then over the years, people just bred them shorter and shorter, and they took more nose away. And nowadays, they're just extremely short and have pretty much no nose left. So the CKC and the AKC, and by CKC I mean the Canadian Kennel Club, not the Continental. They both ask for a short, cobby dog. And when the dog's standing up, in between his front legs, you're supposed to have the square. So it's supposed to be like the height and the width is supposed to be the same. For the face, it is asking for an extremely short muzzle. It's actually asking for a certain angle. So if you were to draw a line from the forehead down to the chin, it's supposed to be on a certain angle, which means there's no snout coming out. And then they also don't pay attention to the nares. Nowhere in the breed standard does it say that nostrils need to be wide and round, etc. So they don't pay any attention to that. They just want a really short, muscly, like cobby dog. Yeah, so a couple of my dogs are doing agility. And then we have recently, and it's just a super new thing in Canada, it's called a chase ability test and a sprinter test. Is actually mainly meant for hounds, so it's like a hound sport. The sprinter is they have to run as fast as they can on 100 meters, and it's a timed event. Depending on how fast they run, they get certain points. And then the chase ability is over 300 yards. It's like a little system that pulls a plastic bag that's mimicking a prey, and the dog is supposed to run the whole 300 or 600 yards. And it's not timed. As long as he runs the whole part, he will pass. And once you get so many passes, you get a title. And then with the sprinter, once you get to a certain amount of points, then you get a title as well. It was actually super hilarious. We had the very first event this last month, in April. And it was, because it is mainly a hound sport, 90% of the dogs entered were greyhounds or other hounds. And then we showed up with our Frenchies, and it was really funny. Because the people, I have a few videos, and you can hear the people in the background saying, "Oh my God, he's so fast, and run, little one." And they were just amazed by how fast they could actually run.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Can you talk about your standards? What are you looking for when you breed?
Yeah, so I'm trying to breed to the original breed standard, what they used to look like on these pictures from 100 years ago. So I'm looking for more snout, and just a longer back, longer legs, and I'm also really trying to get more tail back into the breed, and a straight tail, not a corkscrew tail. Yeah, that's the structural things that I want to breed for. It's mainly just the nose and just a more agile dog.
Now, why would the tail be important to you?
The tail, because the tail is connected to the spine, it's just pretty much the tip of the spine. So many French Bulldogs have issues with their spine as well. So we're talking about hemivertebrae and IVDD, and they're saying that it is all connected to the tail. And in English Bulldogs as well, we have a lot of issues with ingrown tails. So just a longer straight tail is gonna just help with that issue as well. And then of course, it's also important for communication. I mean, some French Bulldogs, they don't have a tail at all. Like, it's so short. So other dogs can't really see how they're reacting. So lots of dog trainers nowadays are saying that a tail is important for communication too.
Yes, absolutely.
So the skull shape in with French and as well as English Bulldogs has gradually decreased in facial length over the years, while at the same time, the skull width was increased. So all that resulted in a deformation of the upper airway tract. So the soft tissue has actually not reduced proportionately. So we see a lot of soft palate issues. Either the soft palate is elongated or it's thickened. There's that issue. And then, of course, with the nares as well, the nostrils, so many dogs nowadays have stenotic nares, which are pinched nostrils. And it's pretty much like breathing through straws. Like, there's so little oxygen that actually gets inside. And the majority of race phallic dogs will need surgery to correct that. And I just want to breed dogs that, don't need surgery in order for them to breathe. Like, breathing should be something, you don't need a surgery for. And especially in the summer as well, like, we do get warm days. Once summer gets here, usually July or August, we do get really warm days, and my dogs are absolutely fine. Like, they're still outside playing in the yard. Yes, they will eventually start panting, but it's nothing too crazy. That said, the one dog that I have with breathing issues, he's already had the surgery, and he will still struggle in warmer weather. Like, even when I walk them and it's 18 degrees Celsius, so nothing too crazy. After about 10 minutes, he will start panting quite a bit, and I can tell that he's pretty much done and he needs to go home. So yeah, it definitely affects them and how they can breathe. One of my dogs, I had her tested. She's out of my first litter that I had, and she's actually BOAS unaffected, which means she has absolutely no breathing obstructions. So she has a perfect breathing outside, even in hot days. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are videos that you can even find online that show what it looks like when your dog has an elongated palate, for example, and how it's just obstructing everything. And it's really, really scary when you think about it. And I also find it's really scary how few people are aware of it. There's actually one study that showed that 58% of owners don't recognize clinical signs as a problem. So they don't realize that overheating or snoring or grunting are actually signs of obstruction. They just think it's, it's part of the breed. And yeah, they're not meant to just be outside and run all the time. Well, they should be, because they're still dogs, and dogs should be able to run outside even when it's warm. Yeah, so my future plans, I actually just bought a dog in Germany. And in Germany, I find they have they're a couple steps ahead of us already. So they have much higher standards when it comes to health testings, for example. Even with their kennel clubs in Germany, they have different kennel clubs, but they all require some sort of pre-breeding tests in order for your dogs to even get a breeding approval. Here, the CKC and the AKC, you can register any dog as long as your dog is purebred and you have a certificate that says it's a purebred dog. You can breed that dog, and the dog can have a litter, and you can register the puppies, and you don't need any health testing. But in Europe, you do. So I just bought a dog there, and he's actually from a breeding kennel that's called Gesunde Bulldogge, which stands for Healthy Bulldog. And they have really the highest standards when it comes to health testings. They even require CT scans to check for like breathing obstructions. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping that depending on how he will turn out, that he might be my future stud, and that he will have a lot of he will just bring a lot of healthy genes over to North America. Yeah, for sure. So, I run a few different DNA tests. So there is one is DM, degenerative myelopathy. It's sadly super common in French bulldogs, and I believe in English bulldogs as well. It's a progressive disease of the spinal cord that will leave them paralyzed. Some people refer to it as canine ALS. There's absolutely no cure, and it's a super heartbreaking disease. Then there's also juvenile hereditary cataracts, which leaves a dog blind at a very young age. Usually the average age is age 2. And then there's also cystinuria marker 3, which is a different cystinuria than you would find in other breeds, but it's an inability to process cysteine, which causes crystals and stones, and usually causes a blockage too that needs to be surgically removed. And then there's also A2U, which is an excessive excretion of uric acid, again causing a type of stones in the bladder. And then the last DNA test is for canine multifocal retinopathy, which causes eye lesions and blisters on the eyes. So those are the DNA tests. And then structural things that I test for would be patellas. So I have the patellas of a registered, and then I also take an x-ray of the spine to check for hemivertebrae. And then you also need an x-ray of hips, or you can do pen hip, so either OFA or pen hip for the hip evaluation. And then, of course, like I said, the BOAS grading, and I follow the Cambridge University grading scheme for that to check for just breathing obstructions.
With all those tests?
Yeah, so I do have quite a bit of a wait list for my future puppies. So some people do appreciate what you are doing, but sadly, not a whole lot of people are even aware that there are such thing as health testing that breeders do. They're just looking for a puppy, and like it's a shame really that like I said, even the CKC, AKC, they think, okay, I'm getting a dog from a CKC or AKC registered breeder, that equals the dog is healthy. But it's not, because like I said, anybody can really register the dogs with the CKC or AKC as long as they're purebred. So there's no standards when it comes to health testings.
What if you were to cross one of your French bulldogs? What other breed would you use?
So that's been discussed before, especially again in Europe. I don't know if you have heard about this, but right now there's this whole thing going on with pugs in the Netherlands, because they're not in the Netherlands. I think it was already in 2014 that they passed a law that says you're not supposed to breed dogs that can't breathe or have any other limitations in life. So in theory, since 2014, you weren't supposed to breed brachycephalic dogs in the Netherlands anymore. But right now in 2019, they just passed another law. So now they're really strict about it. And more people are looking at to outcross. And I know with the pugs, they're talking about potentially Jack Russell Terrier. There's actually a breed called, it's a Retro Mops. Yeah, that's what it's called, Retro Mops. And that's actually a Jack Russell pug outcross breed. So looking at the French Bulldogs, I mean, you would be looking at a smaller dog that probably has more nose and a nice tail. I probably would not cross out with corgis, which I know some people have done to get the color into the French Bulldog. So the burly color is not naturally in the breed. So people have done some outcross to Chihuahuas or corgis to get that color, but they did it for the color, not for other health benefits. So yeah, you definitely would be looking at a dog though that has more snout and, like I said, a nice long tail and a nice straight tail. And then also looking at DNA tests. So I know a lot of small dogs, for example, are prone to DM. So you would probably potentially be looking at a breed that doesn't carry as much DM and is not as prone to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I wouldn't be able to give you an exact breed right now, just because I haven't really looked at the statistics of, like I said, the different DNA tests yet. Um, Jack Russell Terrier, I'm not sure temperament-wise if that would be a good fit, because I know because they're terriers, they can get a little crazy. Um, yeah, so to be honest, I wouldn't be able to give you an exact breed right now.
One of the things that I do like about the French Bulldog that I've noticed that really interests me, and my wife loves them. I think that'll probably be my wife's next dog. Is the fact that they do have a little bit of drive compared to even like some of the Englishes. They're up in game for pretty much anything that if you train them, they'll be happy to perform. Am I right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and again, it comes down to them wanting to please their owners and just wanting to do things with you together. So with my dogs that are doing agility, for example, it's such a team building sport because you're doing it with your dog and your dog's doing it with you as the owner. Yeah, they definitely, as long as they have the capability of actually running and doing all these things, they would love to do them for sure. Yeah, and I mean, even with the chase ability, they're chasing what's supposed to be a rabbit, so that's why it's such a hound sport, because hounds are so focused on that. They have such a high drive. And I mean, one of my Frenchies absolutely went nuts when he saw that bag, so he definitely does have a drive for that, for sure.
Can you talk about what your morning and evening routine is with your dogs? What do you like to do?
So in the morning, depending on when I work, my work always changes. So sometimes I work in the morning, sometimes I work in the evenings. But I always walk them before I go to work. So I usually, if I work in the morning, I get up, and I feed them all. I feed them all raw because I'm totally believer in species appropriate diets. So they're all fed, and then I usually let them rest for a little bit, and then we go for a walk, and then I go to work, and then we usually go for another walk when I come back home.
And talking about the diet, what do you specifically feed your dogs?
So I feed them fresh food, or some people call it raw food. But when you say raw, some people just picture like really bloody, messy food, and it's not like that at all. So I like to call it fresh food. But yeah, so they eat just raw meat, vegetables, and then some supplements, and then I share probiotics with them. So yeah, they're just like eating actual real food.
And how many times a day do you feed them?
Just twice a day. And then when I have puppies, yeah, 3 times a day or more often.
If you notice a dog that is a little overweight, do you cut back on their intake, or like maybe only feed them once, or is it?
Yeah, you would just cut back on their intake. It's actually really hard to have an overweight dog on a fresh food diet, because most dogs that are overweight, it comes from just too much carbohydrates in their food. So a lot of dogs are kibble fed, especially. They just get like, eating a lot of carbs that turn into sugar. So when you feed them fresh food, they're naturally on the lean side. But yeah, if you do have a dog that's a little bit too much, too heavy, just feed them a little less food. And also just lean foods too. So looking at the different meats, like certain proteins have a higher amount of fat. Turkey and chicken, for example, are really lean. So I would probably feed that dog mainly turkey and chicken until he loses some weight.
Okay. That makes sense. Here's another question I ask everybody because it interests me. What is your kennel setup, or how do you house your dogs?
They're all living with me together. So when I don't have puppies, my adult dogs, they all actually sleep with me in my bed. They are kennel trained so that if they ever had to go somewhere, they are used to a kennel, but they're never really kennelled in my house. Like even when I go to work, they just roam free. They're pretty good. They don't really destroy anything. So yeah, that's like that. And then when I do have puppies, I have them in my house as well, so I don't have them separate or in a garage or anything like that. When I have puppies, I actually have my puppy area. It's pretty much my kitchen and my dining room. And then as they grow, they get more space in the other parts of the house as well. Because to me, it's really important that the puppy grows up with just the daily noises of things, so like the vacuum or the dishwasher. So yeah, that's really important to me that they grow up with all that.
Yeah. And what other breeds besides French Bulldogs do you like and you could see yourself owning?
Probably boxers and bull mastiffs. So pretty much sticking with the whole whole structure, but a little bit bigger. So I think my next breed might be a boxer, maybe. Just bull mastiffs are a bit too big as of right now. But yeah, I can definitely see myself owning a boxer in the future.
Mm-hmm. Now talk about your association. What got you to start this, and how has the response been, and where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah, so what got me started again was really just seeing what they've achieved in Europe already, especially the Healthy Bulldog Club in Germany. It's absolutely amazing when you look at what they've done and what they've achieved already. I think they were established about 10 years ago, so they do have a little head start. But yeah, they've done so many great things, and that was definitely something that I looked at and I was like, hey, we should really have something like this here. And also because the show world, like I said, didn't really accept my dogs. So I want my dogs still to have an environment that they are accepted in and that people are proud of them. So yeah, I just started this association because I thought it would be really interesting to collaborate with other like-minded breeders in North America. It's been slow, to be honest. There are not a lot of breeders in Canada or the States that have come to the realization that something needs to change in the breed. So you even notice it in some of the French Bulldog Facebook groups. If somebody posts a picture of a dog, of a Frenchie that has, for example, a little longer snout, people immediately comment saying, oh, that's a cute dog, but what is he crossed with? Or, oh, I hope you didn't pay a high price for that mixed breed. I'm like, guys, they can look like this and still be purebred. Like my dogs, they're all purebred. So they can still look like this. And yeah, so the whole mindset hasn't really come to North America yet, as it did in Europe, where they definitely have a lot of other breeders that are breeding for a more sporty and active dog. So hopefully that will change over the years as more people become aware of the issue. I also notice a lot of times when you see like social media pages that have a huge following, they post a picture, for example, of a French Bulldog sitting up, falling asleep. Now, people comment, oh my God, this is so adorable. Look at him sitting up and he's falling asleep. It's so cute. Well, it's not, because the reason why he's sitting up and falling asleep is because when he's laying down, he can't breathe. So he's trying to get the sleep that he needs while sitting up, because that way at least he gets some air in. And like other people post videos of them grunting and snoring so loud, and people think it's hilarious, but it's not. It's like snoring is a sign of obstruction, so it's not cute and it's not funny. But the whole mindset here is still like, this is funny and this is cute and I want to get a Frenchie now because they're hilarious. They are hilarious, but the grunting and the snoring is not.
I don't know if you can hear my boy right now.
I just heard him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's laying next to me. So, yeah. And like,
yep, I can hear him.
I just weighed him a week ago. He's 48.5 pounds. So he's not overweight. You can hear his breathing.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was the same with my boy Bismarck. He would wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air. So it's absolutely heartbreaking for sure.
And I have, as a overweight American, I have sleep apnea, so I know exactly what that is. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know how harmful that is to any species body. So
Exactly, and which is why I just get really upset when people call it funny, and they just share all these videos, and then people think even more, oh, it's just part of the breed, and like some people might even want to get a dog like that because it's so funny and so cute how they snore and grunt. But people need to understand it's not part of the breed and it's not cute. It's just a sign of obstruction.
so
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
I talk to you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.